This is the second video in the series of DNA. So in this video, we are talking much about DNA. So DNA is a weakly acidic molecule and is found at the heart, at the center of living things. Almost all living things, they have DNA. So in my opinion, DNA is the brain of the single-celled organism. But this molecule is more than just a simple line of biological code. Here are a few thought-provoking behaviors of DNA. For example, DNA has a lot of repetition around the number of stability. This is number 3. 3 is a number that is stable. Like we find this number in construction, natural creations. It's a stable number. If we can refer to numbers and their characteristics, we find that in DNA, there is a lot of number 3. So number 3 in DNA is abundant. For example, it is made of sugar, phosphate, and base. There are 3 components. DNA is read in codons. These codons are groups of 3 bases. We have 3 types of RNA originating from DNA: messenger RNA, transfer RNA, ribosomal RNA. There are 3 stop codons. 3 stop codons which stop protein production from DNA. DNA exists in 3 forms: aDNA, bDNA, and zDNA. So there is also other thought-provoking behaviors. For example, this molecule, it seems it is aware of its environment. It could be even aware of itself, so to say. No one knows. For example, the molecule can repair itself through the so-called mismatch repair genes. So if it can repair itself, so it knows that it is damaged. The molecule knows that it is damaged and can repair itself. Isn't that just mind-blowing? So following denaturation by heat, DNA can renaturate itself upon cooling. That is strange. So cellular energy is all that DNA needs to become aware. Is the brain of the cell. So this molecule finds that in the presence of environmental threats, DNA directs the formation of protective molecules originating from it. It is coordinating. For example, these protective molecules can be antibodies, special enzymes, additional cell coats, and many more. We can go ahead and talk too much. But it is also thought-provoking that it commits suicide if it is severely damaged. This is really amazing, and it's just amazing. So this is the so-called apoptosis. So significant death signals originate from the powerhouse of the cell, the mitochondria, which also has DNA, its own DNA, different from the cellular DNA. This is very strange. So these DNA segments, called telomeres, we introduced about these segments in the first video. The telomeres determine cellular aging. Telomeres are the clock of longevity. This is the part of DNA that makes cancer cells immortal, and they are highly affected by lifestyle. Telomeres are amazing parts of DNA. So telomeres can shorten, but the shortening can be accelerated by telomeres will naturally shorten, but the shortening can be accelerated by certain factors. For example, inflammation, chronic disease, diseases that last long, diabetes, hypertension, and so on, cancer, psychological stress will shorten the telomeres. And by shortening the telomeres, we also directly mean that you will age quickly. Poor diet, sedentary lifestyle, environmental toxins. So, if you observe closely, you find that the current generation has all the reasons we mentioned earlier to age quickly. At least all of us are exposed to environmental toxins. We breathe in small amounts of carbon, which initiates subtle changes but constant gradual cell damage. And this is a perfect ground for chronic inflammation we mentioned earlier also. So it is reasonable to think that antediluvians had different DNA from ours. For example, people like Methuselah lived 969 years, Noah lived 950 years, and we can go on and on and on. And it is logical to conclude that antediluvians are a different human species. So take note that some of them lived in the nomadic antediluvian period, so they were not cultivating or actively searching for what to eat. They were moving around, they were not sedentary. They had no significant exposure to psychological stress or sedentarism, all of which accelerate the loss of telomeres. So, stepping out of science a little bit, the Bible also mentions a few other ways to live long, other than biology. So, the first one, we find it in Proverbs chapter 3, verse 1, that states that, says, "My son, do not forget my teaching, for they will prolong your life many years." So this is just a counsel or an advice. If you remember God's teaching, if you remember God's commandments, it will prolong your life many years. The second is found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. "Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you." This is from Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. But also we find that Proverbs chapter 10, verse 27, also there is some longevity coverage there. I'm quoting, "The fear of the Lord prolongs life, but the ears of the wicked will be short." So longevity is a long topic, and I will come you in the next series of videos on DNA. In the next video, we are covering the electromagnetic theory of DNA.